All right. Hello and welcome. It is officially May the 23rd and time for another community call. Looking forward to this one, which is all about team coaching. I'm going to let Kathy Vaughn in. I think we'll have Ivana Valet here as well. And if you haven't met us before, I'm Jennifer Britton. I am the CEO of Potentials Realized, and Kathy is our team lead for team coaching, and we've got Ivana, our team lead for group coaching. All right, and hello. Good to see Ivana. We've got Ivana coming into the room, and we've got Kathy coming into the room. So very good. Time for another community call. And this one I'm terming, hey, Kathy, welcome to you. This one I'm terming Team Coaching Trends and Your Evolution as a Coach of Many. So it's very fitting. I've got both Ivana and Kathy here today, our team leads for group and team coaching, respectively, here at Potentials Realized. I don't know about both of you, but it's May. I'm excited. Lots of I don't know, like lots of energy in the air, perhaps because I'm closing off on a lot of loops professionally and personally. But also, I think too, it's like May always ushers in sort of the end of the year before people go on holidays. And a lot of organizations are starting to already think about what about the fall? What when we get back to hopefully what is more of a regular work routine. So that's what I'm thinking about as we step into today's call around trends and evolution as your coach of many, because I know both of you have been coaching for many years, like myself. And, I think we want to continue to evolve as well. So let's check in. Like we've got the three of us here today. Ivana, what are you excited about? What are you seeing in your landscape of group coaching right now and evolution, continued evolution?
So with regard to group coaching, I think there's a lot of good energy around even going into corporations. People are very thirsty to see how they can leverage their skills to support leaders in different organizations. I'm seeing a lot of that as much as public programs. So I think there's a real need and desire for that. I know as all of us on the call, we are continuously sharpening our saw. And so I'm currently enrolled in the Superpower program that Potentials Realized. And so I'm really kind of even leaning into my own growth and who am I as a coach, as a group coach, so I can amplify and support others in their goals as well as my own. So that's really what's hot. And I'm also excited that I've also got an upcoming trip coming back to Canada for a month. So I'm really looking forward to crossing the ocean and coming back to my home turf and hopefully seeing some of the Potentials Realized team while I'm there.
Absolutely. Well, you're zooming in, and we're going to bring Kathy's voice in here, and I think she's going to reinforce a couple of things. But organizationally, a lot is on the go. A lot of organizations are thinking about how do we really scale coaching to more people across an organization, and of course, group coaching is such an important vehicle. Whether you're looking at supporting new leaders or even the whole onboarding process, right? One of the challenges of so many organizations today is people are joining or rejoining, and the notion of building that vibrant corporate culture may not be really embedded. A lot of people are just being thrown into roles and there's no onboarding. In fact, the onboarding focus was my focus in the 90-day guide for success, which I like to say it wasn't today's focus, but I was going to say a lot of organizations are using that now as part of their 90-day cycle to onboard people in a hybrid organization or even an in-person organization, because we know that people need supports as they go. And this is where, if you are bringing on cohorts of people new to an organization, new to a department or a division, bringing them together for that collaborative conversation is critical. So I think there can also be a really important sort of it's on-ramping is critical, but so is the group coaching conversation. So if you haven't put those two together, today's call is really about making some of those bridges more explicit. All right, well, let's go to you, Kathy. What are you excited about? What are you noticing? Kathy and I sat down, was it last week? It was during International Coaching Week. and we talked a little bit about some of the trends we were seeing then. So what's new, what's happening in your world this week, Kathy?
So, Jennifer, we're into our third cohort of the year of Team Coaching Essentials. And what I think is just beautiful about all of that is that many of them have already taken the Group Coaching Essentials. So what we did this week in week 2 was really sit and say, what's the difference between team coaching, team facilitation, and team building? And I know, Jennifer, we've talked about that many, many different times, but what was so nice is that they were able to take what they had learned in Group Coaching Essentials about what's a group and coaching the group, and now see it from the perspective of the language that's out there of what people are calling coaching and other things and the different modalities, and really sit and say, okay, what am I doing? What am I trying to do? And is this fit for purpose? So it was a really nice synergy and integration of that, because all of them had taken GCE within the last year. And so really we're able to build on that. And that just brings me to my main thing today. I mean, having just another call with someone today about what's leadership, and asking them, are they looking to develop the leader or the leadership of the organization, and what really makes sense, and making it bespoke, or what, best meeting the needs of the organization, not just saying we want this. And this is I'm not going to say an ESO, an enterprise support organization, but an organization that then works with a group of organizations, and trying to help them appreciate that not every entity will have the same design. So there's complexity there. But if we go in a holistic way, we can meet most of the needs. But it starts from that design. And we know that from Team Coaching Essentials, that when you start working with the many, that approach to how do you engage everyone starts very high level. It's principle based. It's about values. It's about key practices and core drivers. And then you get to the nitty gritty of whether you're going to do coaching this person, coaching that person. But you have to start really with the big picture and align with that. And if the team doesn't have agreements on everything, but they have core principles, they can always take decisions.
Yes.
It might take some back and forth, but if they don't have the principles, even the policies don't really help, because then it's a compliance. What you need is the commitment. So I'm just really excited to see how can people embrace the coaching of many, whether it's in a group context with people having individual goals around shared concepts, or people with a shared purpose, whether they're an intact team or teaming for the moment, really looking at how do we enable people to step in, step up, deliver, and then move forward through our programs.
So well said, Kathy. And again, I think it's like the two legs, right? And this year, if you haven't heard, this summer we're celebrating the 10th anniversary of the publication of From One to Many. I can't believe it's been 10 years. And after the wild success of Effective Group Coaching, which was the world's first book on group coaching, which came out from Wiley at the end of 2009. My executive editor approached me like 2 years later and said, Jennifer, we need another book. Like, let's do a part 2 of Effective Group Coaching. And I said, you know what? I really think we need something different. I think we need to actually look not only at group coaching, but at team coaching. And precisely what Kathy has said and Ivana has said, like, what is the bridge? How do we scale this conversation to really change the dynamic of organizations? Right? Every organization is different. Organizations are the engine of business from an economic standpoint, as well as a societal change standpoint in many instances. So how do we harness and tap into the collective, whether it is around the alignment of teams or the diversity and strength of that collaborative group space? And so you're going to be hearing a lot more from the three of us here at Potentials Realized as we step into our summer of starting to celebrate this year. Really, it's going to be a year-long celebration of the 10th anniversary of From One to Many. And I think it's really appropriate. And if you've read the book, you'll notice it's not just team coaching, it's group coaching, and it's also what Kathy spoke to. It's about really evolving leadership. Leadership at all levels, because if you've read Reconnecting Workspaces, my latest writing, in the virtual remote and hybrid space, we have changed the paradigm. It's not just the formal leader that needs to be activated and empowered. In a flexible workspace, everyone needs to be empowered. Yes, leaders have responsibility and accountabilities, but we really need to build the capacity of everyone. So that's what's coming. And that's really where we are spending our time and continuing to evolve, our training for you as coaches. Maybe you're a leader though, and we're continuing to do work around culture change as well as team development in all its stripes, whether it's a one-off retreat, bringing in an everything disc, or maybe bringing in our hybrid work styles that I'll talk a little bit about. Or maybe you do want to engage with us on a longer team coaching process, which really gets at those core essentials, those core fundamentals to help teams thrive in all conditions. So there's a lot on the go, and I hope that this call is going to also help paint out some of those bridges, because I want to bring in two things. Ivana touched on one, the superpowers, which is all about who are you as a coach. And then Kathy sort of also talked about, the diversity that exists within an organization. Who are we serving and what is needed? So that's the landscape for today. We're going to keep today's calls sort of a crisp another 15, 18, 20 minutes as we go forward. Wanted to just draw your attention to a couple of things. We've done community calls. Well, this has been a consistent process for me over many, many years, but these are now happening bi-weekly. Join us. Please join us live bi-weekly coming up in the next couple of months. It is May of 2023. We did a great group coaching demo that was headed by Ivana. That call is not available to the public, but it is now part of our Group Coaching Essentials program and dives deeply into how do you co-create agreements. So if you are with us for a future Group Coaching Essentials program, you'll see that. There are lots of demos, and in fact, on June the 20th, Ivana and I'll sit down again, and we're going to revisit some of those group coaching demos. If you haven't watched them yet, head on over to Effective Group Coach on YouTube, and you will be able to actually sort through the playlists around demos. We also have calls coming up. Today is, of course, team coaching trends, and we're going to talk a little deeper around the group and team coaching superpowers if you're a coach, as well as hybrid work styles. And then in our next call, because it is June, and June, July, August is often some time in the year where coaches sit down to really start focusing on their businesses, we're going to talk about the Coaching Business Builder Booster Shot. I like to do this every summer as we step into mid-year to sort of look at where are you? Where are you with your systems? Where are you with your business? Where are you with your pipeline? If you are a coach and really thinking about what's next for you, I hope that you'll join us on our next call on June the 6th. July brings in the start of our 10th anniversary celebrations. And so I've termed July 11th, yes, Path to Mastery, your continued evolution as a group and team coach. Because it doesn't just end with one learning journey. As I was saying, even to Ivana earlier today, I've worked in this space, I've evolved this space for many, many years, but I continue to learn. Yesterday, actually just this morning, about 5 hours ago, I hit send on my final paper for my diploma in coaching supervision. So it's like we continue to grow, and we have to grow because the world of our clients continues to change. So one of the things you may be aware of or not is that our pathway of learning has also expanded here at Potentials Realized and groupcoachingessentials.ca. We have grown from Group Coaching Essentials, Team Coaching Essentials, and the Practicum, which is well known as the trifecta. And that 3 courses has now expanded into a pathway of 10. So we're going to spend a little bit of time on today's call diving into what's on the horizon, because if you've taken the essentials with us, you got a lot of good value, but you know what? There's even more. So how do we really evolve ourselves to meet the challenges and opportunities that you've heard from Kathy and Ivana? And that will really take us into our calls this summer as we dive more deeply into From One to Many. I'm excited. I have had a number of ICF chapters reach out already from India to North America to say, hey, can you join us? We're going to be talking about some of those 10th anniversary principles around group and team coaching, because that's what we do. Now, I don't want to repeat what Kathy and I talked about a few weeks ago, but I referenced, this comes from Choice Magazine and the end of 2022 Choice edition, which focused specifically on team coaching. And, really these influences continue to be everywhere, from the paradigm shifts of looking at, are we in the office? Are we out of the office? I was sort of smiling. Kevin O'Leary, who is well known for his work, he's a Canadian entrepreneur, Dragon's Den. Many of you know him from TV, but he made a pretty interesting statement against Elon Musk's demand to get back in the office, because collaboration to Musk is really essential. Well, as Kevin O'Leary said, it really depends on what job you're doing. Does it make sense to work in a hybrid space? Do you really need to be, always collaborating in person? It depends. And that's what we have taken pride around. We have always been a virtual business here at Potentials Realize. We've been doing it since 2004. The three of us today are sitting on different continents. But would you know that? Probably not, but because we know how to work in a collaborative virtual space. So just be noticing the assumptions we're making, how the teams that we're working with and groups are undergoing these elements. And of course, the shifts continue. The need for belonging is always there. In fact, as I turned on the radio this morning in the car, the radio was talking about the need for belonging in organizational workspaces, which I thought, that's so interesting. And that takes us, of course, to the triad of trust, safety, and connection, which I've been talking about for many, many years now, since I introduced that topic in 2017 with Effective Virtual Conversations. We have so many adaptive and emerging models, and this is what we like to really look at in our work, in our training of coaches, and in our leadership development. There are many, many models, and so we're model agnostic in the main. I think what is important in an emerging interdisciplinary realm, we need to be able to pull upon tools and practices and processes from across disciplines. That's how we solve complex issues, by getting outside of the funnel. So influences, just gonna flip it to you, Kathy and Ivana. What do you see as some of the most important influences right now in your respective areas?
Well, Jennifer, if I can go first, I really love what you say, that we're model agnostic, in the sense that we also are, your background is in adult learning, right? And experiential education. And we know adults learn best by connecting with their experience. So part of our value proposition to coaches is bring what you have, bring your curiosity, interrogate it, listen to what other people are doing, and then make sense of what you're doing that's in service of your client. So you walk away, number one, really understanding what you've signed up for, whether it's group coaching essentials or team coaching essentials, and you walk away with something to offer. And throughout the program, certainly for team coaching essentials, you're constantly being asked to explain to people, what are you doing? Why you as the team coach, right? What's the difference? Because you already have a business. You're already doing coaching when you arrive. It's an advanced CCE. It's not foundational training. And I think that's really important to say. If I was going to talk about these 6 influences, the only thing I could possibly add that's not there is the role of technology. Yes, we talk about the hybrid and the virtual world. Having recently worked with several different platforms with hybrid and remote teams, both in coaching and other team development and experiences, I think this is a continuing conversation about what works best. And you have those 7 remote enablers and 2 hybrid. For me, that intentionality is so critical, because we make so many assumptions of, oh, we'll just use Zoom, we'll just do this, we'll just do that. It doesn't always work, and it's not about having a dry run. It's really about thinking through the design and what is it like for the majority of people who are trying to join, not just the coach. And so to me, that's the one thing I would add to that list that you have there. That's really great. Jennifer, you're on mute.
So there's my intentionality, right? And I think it's interesting, Kathy, that you talk about design, because one of the programs we have offered for years, actually, I've offered it since 2015, is Virtual Facilitation Essentials. And Ivana and I were just talking about it earlier today. VFE, when it first came out, Virtual Facilitation Essentials was always grounded in this notion of how do we boost engagement? How do we bring all the voices into the room? Again, regardless of if you're on Zoom, on Teams, in a conference call, in some mixed hybrid environment. And just to what Kathy has shared is that intentionality. How are we designing for dialogue, right? Dialogue coming from the Greek words of dia and logos. It's about the conversation between, not a conversation at people. And so with all of this, I think there's even an even more important sort of upping of the ante in terms of a coach's ability, a leader's ability to engage across platforms, across layers of being, right? Are we in the room? Are we outside of the room? And so my hope is, and we will be offering Virtual Facilitation Essentials again this summer. If you are being tasked and asked to create important conversation zones in the hybrid space, definitely keep your eye open for the next offering of VFE. I only offer it about 2 or 3 times a year, and we will be doing one this summer. And it really is, it's not about how do you use Zoom, it's beyond that. It's about how do you design for interaction? How do you design for engagement? And that really is cross-cutting, whether you're a group coach, whether you're a team coach, whether you're a leader, whether you're, anyone. Like, how do we bring people into the room? Absolutely critical. So thanks for focusing on that, because I think this is, we'll always call it VFE, Virtual Facilitation Essentials, but at the heart of it is creating the space for conversation and dialogue. Love it. Love it. Ivana, what are you noticing about how that's important for you in the realm of group coaching right now?
Well, thanks, Jen. I love what Kathy said, because it does overlay into group coaching when we're thinking about technology and adaptability. Even in group coaching, it's not our agenda, it's what our participants need. It's a group of individuals coming with a common theme, but there's still wisdom to be gleaned. There's still that leaning in of the collective, but still honoring each individual journey. So I think one of the things that many people love about the group coaching conversation, and even in the program, is that we actually model some of this. We actually create those conversations. We allow participants to bring all of their collective learning and wisdom. It's like you're a coach, you're a coach, you're a coach, and now we're building on. It's not a separate thing. And so with Kathy saying, like, the words that really ring true for me in these pages, on this page, is really the adaptability. Even in terms of technology, are we adapting to what our participants actually need, whether it be from a technology standpoint, a program standpoint? What works for one one group does not work for all. It's a skill that I think, even in our practicum program that we offer, a lot of that does come to life, not only in the participants leading the program, but also in seeing how their peers are actually doing their group coaching or team coaching. So I think it's really, really, it's absolutely important. I think a lot of these are cross-pollinated. And if I may share, because I think you said something earlier, Jen, that really rung true for me around the piece of new leaders and how they're coming on in leadership, is there is this conception of, corporate might just be teams, but there's a lot of space in corporations for groups and for teams. So part of what I really appreciate about the diversity in our programs, it actually allows people to play and explore in what actually suits their skills and their superpowers to really define their own lane and access to evolve as individuals and leaders and coaches, but also their businesses. So I think it's really, really important that that space is created. And this is one of the many things I love about being part of this team and allowing me to stretch. And I think that's really what the conversation, even from a core competency standpoint, how are we growing? How are we evolving as individuals, as coaches, but also as leaders?
And again, what legs, is it a lane or is it a leg and a full body, right? It's always, our work as coaches is about integration and something more, which is why we've continued to grow. So in addition, and a lot of people have really looked at this as like, oh, it's a certificate in team coaching, but you can follow the pathway to get a certificate in group coaching as well. And I'm going to be working on that with our designer to sort of really, for those that are just feel that you're more of a group coach than a team coach, to help really identify, what is the pathway and how do you really look at this? And many of you have taken with us the trifecta now, the essentials, the practicum, but the learning doesn't stop there. I really want to get our attention to like, what next? And a big part of that is twofold. So one, it's who you are as a coach, right? It's about your presence. It's about what do you have to resource. And so last summer, 2022 August, actually 2022 July, I launched the group and team coaching superpower quiz. It's been taken by thousands of coaches now, and we're really getting some very interesting data around what are those inherent, innate skills we as coaches bring to the table. Here on the call, we've got three of us. We each bring different coaching styles. So I am a creative tool master. Ivana, you are
I'm a lighthouse and a grounded labyrinth. So I really blend in both. Yeah.
You blend both. So if you could give a sound bite, what is one of the gifts you bring as a coach of many as a grounded labyrinth coach?
Really creating the space of groundedness and pause.
Mm-hmm. So again, look here. So she has just spoken a little bit about the grounded labyrinth. If you want to take the quiz, here is the QR code. You can scan it even as we're talking. Kathy, talk a little bit about one of your superpowers, because many of us have not just one primary. We may have a primary and a secondary superpower. So Kathy, you are and you're on mute this time, so we'll get you to unmute on that.
You're still on mute, Kathy.
I'm the seed tool under this.
Tool, the creative tool master. So
yep,
Kathy,
that's the way I answered.
Yeah, what is the one of the things that you bring then naturally to your group and team coaching conversations?
Well, what I bring is the even better if.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like great, and what could be even better if, and also where appropriate, aligning with the individual about what are they trying to achieve and if what they're offering is going to get them there.
Now, those are just 3 of the 5 superpowers. I really want to encourage you to take a look at this. We have ecosystem connectors that right now in the data set of thousands is the smallest type of coach that has participated so far. But ecosystem connector coaches are typically systems coaches, right? They see the world through that connectivity, through the wider landscape of context and change. The other one that we haven't touched on is the catalytic firecracker. And many of you are catalytic firecrackers. In fact, that's one of the most popular superpowers. But, we talk a lot about presence as a one-on-one coach. That skill set becomes even more important when we're holding the space in group and team coaching as a coach of many. And so what are you able to do to really magnify and lean into what you naturally bring to the table? Because it's complex, right? As much as we bring different skills and we may be partnering with a coach that has a different style. So that's why we've also evolved the co-coaching essentials program to help us really think about what we need to dial up and dial back in our partnership as a coaching team. But now, what about when we're working with others, our client styles? In a one-on-one, you're sitting down with one person. As a coach of many, you may be working with 3, 5, up to 15 people. And so what are their preferences? And this is where the hybrid work styles framework comes into effect, which I've been talking about now for almost 2 years, because I evolved that framework in 2021. If you have not yet seen my latest TED Talk, which is called Coaching Teams Through Chaos, scan the QR code and it will take you to a video that's now been watched by more than 30,000 people around the world. I think there's definitely some traction happening because we see such diverse needs in the workspace today, and it's only magnified when you're hybrid. So what are you doing to make sure that you bring a variety of tools, techniques, and practices so that you're meeting people where they're at? As a group or team coach, we need to get out of our own ruts, right? We need to be able to really pull on additional tools. And so if you haven't taken the hybrid work styles quiz, this is something you may want to do. You may want to share it with your teams as well. In fact, we have a whole other program known as Coaching Diverse Teams and Groups. And it's grounded in what are the different strategies? What are the different techniques that you would use, you would activate as a coach to be working with teams that might be a mix of visionary and builders and innovative experimenters, or maybe you're working with a team of all builders, right? I've worked with teams that have been 80% builders. They want to get into action. So if that's where I'm meeting them, how do we ensure that that's happening, as well as how do we ensure that the other voices are coming into the room? So lots on the go. I hope this call today has wetted your whistle with both these other 2 courses. Ivana, what do you want to say about this as you think about what's excited you? Because you mentioned that you've been excited by the Superpower program. So talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, I'm really excited because with the Superpower program, that's a tongue twister, Jen, is the fact that as much as I'm learning about myself, I'm also getting to learn the other styles and how do I bring more of those to really bring to be a solid group, team, individual coach. And so I can now start to see how Kathy operates being the creative tool master and how she and I partnering could actually do value in certain ways, or when I could work with you and others. So it really opens up the door of possibilities, really. And that's what's exciting me.
Because we can get to a stage in our career as coaches where we think we know it all. And then something comes along and blows the doors off and goes, wow, there's even more to learn, really? And yes, in service to ourselves and in service to our clients. So the Superpowers are all about us. The work styles are all about others. And that's really 2 layers that you get to play with. Kathy, what do you want to mention here? Because you've gone through coaching diverse teams and groups. So yeah, what are you excited about?
So what I'm excited about is just the clarity that we're bringing to the advanced training for people in service of their own growth. And that's part of our value proposition. Small dialogic groups. Yes, we're online, but really tapping into the best of adult learning principles, sitting on top of core foundational coaching competence. And the fact that, Jennifer, you've never wavered from that is really important to reemphasize in a time when there's lots and lots out there about the changes. We will always continue. We are continuing to be a CCE, continuing coach education provider. And so it's sitting on top of foundational coaching training and practice. And so people bring to all of our courses, whether it's diverse coaching diverse teams, whether it's team coaching essentials, group coaching essentials, or even the upcoming co-coaching, they come with inquiry, and they're there because there's something about that course that draws them. It's not a must. I must do this to get X. It's I'm interested in it, and I know, and we suss this out in our onboarding, why I'm here. And we can think of, a few people where through those conversations, those touch points between modular courses that we said, maybe, yes, you're interested in this, but try this first. This will give you a better foundation for what you're trying to work towards. And so I think it's really important just to mention that here, that many people find us and continue working with us because of that connection. Small dialogue group, and trying to help the coach look at what we have on offer and make it work for them. Within a, we do operate in a larger framework, but we do our best within what we
Well
have.
said, Kathy. Like, honestly, very well said, because it's exactly what we do.
I was going to give you a bravo on that, right? And I think in today's world, right, we are small and agile, right? We respond to the needs, and we're there to work with coaches at all stages of their coaching journey. It's not uncommon for people to come back and continue learning, right? We have coaches in current programming that, took the essentials 10 years ago, and they're back because they recognize that there's more to learn. And so whenever you are ready to learn, in a very practical way, because these are all things that you can go out and as a practitioner apply tomorrow. That's always been part of the philosophy for us here at Potentials Realized. Yes, it's important to understand the theory, but very much it's really critical that we can put this into practice right away, because that's what teams and groups need from us right away. So with that, I think that is it for our call today. It was so great to sit down with both of you today. And I know it's different times of the day. I'm stepping into my early afternoon. Kathy, Ivana, thank you both. Any final comments before we get into the end of our call? Wrap it up.
I'm just going to add that this week, sorry, Kathy, just this week, we're actually launching a blog on the differences between group and team coaching. So it's on, help me here, Jen, in terms of the name of the blog.
Yes, so groupcoaching.blogspot.com. It's an old one, but groupcoaching.blogspot.com. And we're at D in the journey for looking at, the A through Z of group coaching. How about you, Kathy? What do you want to add before we go to wrap up?
So I want to add what's new and what's continuing, right? Because we're always doing both. So what's continuing is supervision. Jennifer, you just mentioned that you finished your final paper and submitted it. Congratulations. And that's a new offering for Potentials Realized that we began talking about over a year ago. It will continue through the rest of the year on Thursdays and also on Mondays. So reach out to get more information about what those classes are, who's offering them. And that leads us to also the evolution part, right? So in the summer, we'll be offering many of our core courses, but perhaps in different formats. So to know best, reach out, pay attention to group coaching essentials.ca. And that will give you the most up-to-date. But of course, when you send an email, you'll get a response.
And if I may do a little plug for people who want to come to Canada, the group and team coaching intensive is back, and that will run for 2 days in person in beautiful Bracebridge, Muskoka, Canada on the 27th and 28th of July. It's a program that I have offered on an annual and semi-annual basis since 2010. So really, it is an old program that is coming back now that we can get back to in-person learning. And several of you have reached out saying, I love virtual learning, but I really love the immersive dive. It is really, we kick off on day one at 8:30 in the morning. We go until 5, and then we continue the conversation over dinner. And then we come back together again the next morning at 8 a.m. and go until 4 p.m. And it's all about getting group and team coaching into your bones. There's a practicum element, but more importantly, it is that intensive dive into it. So if you're interested, check out groupcoachingintensive.com, Group Coaching Intensive. And it's going to be a once a year offering. We may in August, and this is just a tentative, but probably pretty sure, I will probably be offering the Superpower program in person as well in Barrie, Ontario. So just looking at that possibly for the second week of August as a quick 2-day learning journey as well. So with that, thank you all. We look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. Great to spend time with you, Ivana and Kathy. Be well, and we'll see you soon.
Bye,
Take care,
everyone. Thank you.
Thanks. See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.